My fiance lied about speaking Korean fluently. My family has been insulting him for years.
Wow.
Original post, June 9th, 2016. I've been with Jimmy for 3 years now. We first met in college and we pretty much instantly hit it off. I'm full Korean while he's half Korean, even though he doesn't look like it at all. I was slightly disappointed when I found out that he didn't speak Korean. Pretty much everyone in my family speaks it, so more than anything, I thought it would be an issue, but it wasn't. By the way, this comes from Understand004 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. He had told me that he didn't know it, but he was studying it, which I thought was a nice gesture. He met my parents for the first time and they speak English, but prefer not to speak it much. My parents complained to me pretty much the entire night and even badmouthed him quite a bit because of his actions and not understanding. I didn't know at the time, but I really defended, and although most dinners at my parents' house were them being fake nice to him, I tried my best to stick up for him. The first time my parents met his dad and his sister, they spoke very poorly of them. It was downright insulting. His dad had some pretty rude and weird behavior that was frowned upon. I would always talk with my parents on the phone while we lived on campus, often on the speakerphone, and Jimmy would just kind of play dumb. Even with my friends, many of them were very rude to him after I told him that he didn't understand it. He proposed to me at our favorite park 3 months ago in Korean, and I was blown away by it.
Oh,
that's really cute.
Romantic.
That's so cute. I thought it was the sweetest thing in the world. I cried for joy and happily accepted. I was so proud of him. Fast forward to last week, one of Jimmy's old-time friends had returned from his assignment overseas and met us for dinner. Really nice, respectable guy. So he starts talking and just full-blown starts speaking in Korean to Jimmy, and I'm taken aback. Oh, he doesn't know much. He's still learning. The guy scratches his head and goes, Jimmy is the guy who helped teach me Korean. What are you talking about? And at first, I didn't know what to think. I was relieved and excited that Jimmy actually knew it, but the more I thought about it, the more angry I became. When I confronted him about why he didn't tell me sooner, he said that when his mother passed on his 18th birthday, he stopped speaking altogether and just started telling people that he didn't understand it. He said that it reminds him of her, which is understandable, but I don't know if I can accept something like that. When I told my parents, my dad was overjoyed while my mother had a panicked look on herself as she recalled all the nasty things they said about him and his family in front of them. My dad seemed to brush it off and fully understood Jimmy's reasoning for not speaking it anymore, but I don't know if I can be so forgiving. I feel like he's been secretly spying on me for the past 3 years. He lied to me about it. Even my friends, he treated everyone so kindly even though they all at some point talked bad about him. I don't know if he's noble and romantic or if he's just been using it to his advantage. Our relationship is otherwise perfect and it seems like such a silly minor detail to get upset over, but I don't know. Any outside perspective or input? Am I in the wrong for not letting this go so lightly? I think he should have told me way sooner. And there is an update, but what do we think so far?
A little sus. But
Yeah.
he has a bad memory attached to speaking Korean, right?
Yeah, and I think I understand that. I kind of think that OP is probably maybe subconsciously upset because she's had to like stand up for him for so long. And like she's been in so many uncomfortable situations where like people were so offended by him not speaking Korean. And then she's like, well, what the heck? I could have just been like spared all of that uncomfort and like vouching for you when everyone else was against you and you just speak it this whole time.
Yeah.
That would be frustrating. I can understand
frustrating.
that. June 16th, 2016, 1 week later. First, I want to say that I admit I was totally wrong for trying to make this about me, and I realized my parents and my friends, as well as myself, were all horrible people, which I agree with. I spoke with Jimmy the same day I posted the thread. I actually invited him over to my parents' place for dinner, but before that, I stopped by his parents' house to apologize to him, his dad's, and his younger sister for everything because I felt so embarrassed and horrible. I apologized profusely to his dad, who did nothing but laugh. His dad was beyond understanding and actually spoke Korean quite well himself. He actually laughed, saying that he understands why my parents were the way they were. He even told me about the story of when he first met Jimmy's mom's parents in Korea and how much she warned him about their behavior. He said that she explained it to him and he understood and was able to respect where their concerns were coming from in terms of wanting to preserve their language and all the heritage. He told me it started off rocky, but they shut up so fast when he surprised them and spoke it fluently. He said his relationship with her parents is now stronger than ever, especially since she passed away, and he calls them twice twice a week just to chat. He said that when he heard that I stuck up for Jimmy, he was proud of me even though he never said anything. Jimmy's sister, she's only 12, but is super sweet and mature for her age. She said that when Jimmy started dating me, it was the day that he started teaching and talking to her in Korean again. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
That's actually really sweet. It was really precious the way she described it. His dad teaches and talks to her as well, but she really likes it when Jimmy does it. As for Jimmy and I, we have been working together to resolve our communication issues, and we've spent a lot of time talking all about us. I admitted all my concerns, and he addressed them one by one and told me exactly what I needed to hear. He apologized for keeping it from me for so long and told me that he didn't do it maliciously. He just didn't want to associate Korean with the negativity that my parents and friends brought, which I find is extremely understandable. He said he regarded the language as something pure that him and his mother often shared together, and that he didn't want to engage in with my parents and friends. He admitted that it probably sounded silly, but I understood him on an emotional level. He told me about how close him and his mom were. We had never talked about this in depth before, and I cried like a little baby because I could tell how much he loved and missed her.
Oh,
that's really sweet. He told me that she always teased and warned him about the complications of marrying a full-blood Korean while he was a teenager, and he didn't really truly understand until he met my parents and friends. I even found out that Jimmy was born and lived in Korea for 12 years. I feel like our relationship is stronger than ever. My doubts and worries are gone, and we're going to be a lot more open with each other. I'm ashamed I ever tried to doubt him. He has been speaking Korean to me a lot more exclusively since I've apologized to him. Most probably wouldn't understand, but he took me to see his mother's grave, and it was probably one of the most touching moments I've ever had with him. I'm kneeling beside him, listening as he told her about me, basically how he knew he had found the person he would want to make new memories with, and how he would have to go back on a promise. I don't think I ever cried so much in my life. I couldn't even stop. We had dinner with my parents on Tuesday, and Jimmy spoke to them in Korean for the first time. My parents apologized for their tongue. I think I didn't make it as clear as I should in my original post, but after I defended him, they cut back significantly.
Let's go.
That's nice.
Okay.
That's nice. Jimmy apologized for their years of disappointment, teasing them for their original concerns. He told them a little about his mom, and when he told them his mother's maiden name, my father's eyes lit up. He didn't really go into detail, but he think he might have known of her family. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool.
Small world.
Yeah. It made him extremely chatty and open. I've never seen my father so excited to talk to someone before in my life. By the way, we're always so excited to see you. Join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Just tap our profile.
Tippity tap tap. I love this. How do they know each other? I want to know that part.
Yeah, I want to know too.
Is it malicious? Is it sweet? Is it?
I'm sure it's sweet. Or
a spy?
Or honestly, maybe it's they just know of her. Like they just grew up in the same town or something like that.
Yeah, and it's
they
like,
didn't really know each other, but
like, oh, the whites.
Yeah, I would just like see them here and here.
Yeah.
You know. Jimmy also brought up that his family is planning a trip to Korea this summer, and he offered to pay for all of us to come with them. Oh my gosh. This is
and he's got bank.
My parents haven't been back in years, and they happily accepted his offer. Jimmy is so wonderful, really. I'm lucky to have him, and I'll never let him go. Thank you for the advice. And there's a little edit. Jimmy's apology to my parents for years of disappointment was in a joking manner, not something sincere. It was meant as a joke, and everyone laughed about it. Sort of like breaking the ice or easing the tension in the room. But there are some relevant comments on this story. Fixler Game Blizz says, this is all fine and good, but still your parents and friends who talked crap are pretty bad. Luckily, your fiance is actually Korean enough, and we don't need to belittle him to his face. OP says, my parents and friends are very bad for talking crap in Korean when they thought he couldn't understand. I realized the magnitude of their actions, and I even told Jimmy that if he wanted us or just himself to go low or no contact with them, then I would be totally supportive and understanding of it. I think my first point exaggerated the number of times they did then. After I defended him the first time, they cut back significantly. If Jimmy is willing and able to forgive them, then I'm just going to leave it at that. No point in me forcing an issue that he doesn't seem concerned over. He's a much better person than myself for sure, because I would hold it against them. But Jimmy values family bonds quite highly, and he wants to have a relationship with my parents, and he wants me to keep a good relationship with them as well. As for my friends friends, I'll be cutting many of them out of my life. Donnie Punani says, I'm sorry, but I have to ask, how is Jimmy so forgiving of your parents? It seems like they were being downright crap bags to him for absolutely no reason. Is that the custom or something? Don't speak our language, we'll just talk crap behind your back. OP says, I'm surprised Jimmy could forgive your parents, but he's a better man than I am. I'm just a little upset at my own culture's exclusivity superiority complex. It's just so annoying at times. I feel the same way, and honestly, Jimmy is one of a kind, I feel like, in terms of forgiveness. But after talking to him about his mom and family, I realized that he regards his family very highly and doesn't believe in cutting ties over insulting behavior. He told me that his grandparents are guilty of this superiority exclusivity complex and that my parents seem to have had. All I can say is that we'll try our best to break this cycle, at least with our direct families, and I'll teach my further kids the importance of respect regardless of appearance or race or tongue. And that is the end.
Wow.
Here we go.
I love that.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
That was sweet. What a good guy.
Yeah.
Good for you for standing up for him.
That really is like good on Jimmy for putting up with all that stuff. But
Yeah.
but I guess if he understands that some people are just like that.
So that's the end of that story.
That was really sweet.